This is Mike Michalowicz, the inventor and author of Profit First. And I have extraordinary news. For the first time ever, the app is here that automates Profit First entirely around the principles I created. I have been involved in every stage of the development of this app. It has all of the principles of Profit First, plus all of my newest findings. Your business is about to be permanently profitable. Get the app today.
Today, right here, right now. This is the moment that you will finally say,
I'm growing my accounting practice, and you're going to discover exactly how right here, right now.
on the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ron Saharyan, co-founder of Profit First Professionals.
And I am Liz Szporn, a guide here at Profit First Professionals.
It's Mike Michalowicz here, author of Profit First, back from the road. I have some stories to share.
Yeah, man.
You're listening to GMAP. This is the show where we teach you how to, step by step, grow your accounting or bookkeeping practice. Coaches, we teach you the same. And we do it through a few ways. Sometimes it's a great guest interview, but for the 500th episode,
500!
we in-house it. We also have a GMAP Now task. One task, if you do it, you'll see results. It's a big one, but it's a game changer. And Ron has an insider access, something we're doing here that you can do over at your offices.
Yeah, guys, and thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Make sure you turn on your post notifications so you always get a notification when a new podcast is released. And our 500th episode is
Amazing.
brought to you by our friend Rami Amagil at People Process, the ultimate HR solutions. Congratulations, Rami, on celebrating your 15th year of being incorporated. We've been working with these guys for about 8 years now, give or take, maybe 5. But anywho, they are so good at HR, so good at systems processing, and you can turn your HR into a revenue type of thing because you're getting more efficient and effective with your talent management process.
Amazing.
I had a confusing call with Rami. I go, Rami, we're celebrating 500 here, number 500. And there's like this awkward pause. He's like, he goes, Mike, most people don't live past 100. I'm like, Jesus, Rami. I mean, the 500 episodes. He's like, oh. He's so into HR. He was thinking like we're celebrating. Who would be the oldest person? Am I the oldest person here? I think so. It'd be my 500.
Well, no.
Oh, there's one other person. You can't say the person's name because I think it's an infringement.
I know. That's why.
Yeah.
Correct.
You assume there could be another person, female or male. I don't know.
Well,
we don't know.
Since you're the only two dudes and it's neither of you, I think it's a lady.
Yeah, okay.
Well, isn't that being a bit presumptuous too?
Yeah, because I know how old the other person is and that I know she's a she. She's given birth.
Well, and she identifies that way. She identifies that way.
Mm-hmm.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a she, her on her thing. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we got away with lawsuits all the way up to 500.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Rami. Thank you.
Okay, I'm running the show today.
Thank you.
gentlemen. You're
Okay.
welcome. I did this. This will be similar to what we did for the 10th anniversary one.
Okay.
One where we're just going to go back in time a little bit. We're going to think about, what this podcast has meant to you, what it's meant to our listeners. And I thought I would start. Ron gave me a beautiful backhanded compliment this morning. He goes, I can't believe you actually did work before the show. He's like, wow, sometimes I forget you're a professional. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. So I did do a little
Well,
preparation.
you also got that plaque that I gave you too.
I do. I am the world's best
Entry level
employee.
Oh,
Thank
there
you.
you go.
At year 5. Thank
There
you.
you go. There you
I
go.
appreciate it.
And I just want to do some quick math. 500 episodes,
Yeah.
one a week.
Yeah.
There's roughly 50 weeks a year. We haven't been doing this 10 years, have we? Is
We're
that
10 years old. Y'all started
Yeah.
this in 2015.
We've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
So we were doing, that's right, we did the podcast in the basement
In
of
the
my
basement.
house.
Then we did
Yes.
it in a real studio.
Yep.
Yeah, down
Chris
on
Curran.
40
Hey, Chris.
on Route 46.
Yeah.
down here. Wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
And my nickname. Remember my nickname?
One word, Ron. You love that.
Yep.
You love that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Now,
it's
now you're
so-
too many words.
I
Ron.
was going to
Nope.
say,
Now
how
I
the
step
tables
on-
have turned.
Yeah.
Now I step on everybody.
Now stop talking, Ron.
Right.
So interesting.
Yeah.
10
I
years,
mean,
didn't-
and you were doing it basically you were sort of the early adopters of podcasting. This wasn't a regular thing 10 years ago, 9 years ago. It was there, but you were definitely on the early side of this. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for that too.
We've
Yeah.
actually probably also helped any number of people start podcasts and introduced them to
Sure.
Yes.
engineers and provided them with
Yes.
our scripts and
Yep.
our processes
That's true.
and all
Right.
sorts of stuff. So
I mean, basically, if you two knuckleheads can do it, anybody can.
That's
So,
true.
it is true.
Well done.
It is true.
You're inspirational.
Well, you know what really helped me out was Mike saying, "Stop it, just be you, just be
That's
yourself."
where you did take off.
Yeah.
You weren't artificial. You just
No.
it was just all Ron. It was great.
Authenticity
great.
wins
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. So and Liz actually, I came on in and I was preparing Mike's notes and I looked and I saw, holy cow, look at all these notes. And I'm reading these notes. I'm like, somebody did a lot of work preparing for this 500th episode here. And I'm reading all the stuff. And then I'm like, Liz, you do this? She's like, yeah. I'm like, can I get a copy? She's like, no.
Oh, I love it.
I didn't want you
secrecy.
to plan for this. It's more fun. Y'all are so good off the cuff, and you know all this stuff. I didn't want you to overthink
And
it.
it was a
Let's do
good
it.
compliment. Come on. I was like, wow,
I know.
I was really impressed. She's
Thank
like,
you.
good. It's good.
Thank you.
Well
Yeah.
done, Liz.
I know
Yeah.
things. I know how to do things.
I know.
It's because I'm almost 50, I think. I'm really a grown
I
up.
thought you had your 50th.
I'm almost 50.
I'm almost 50.
I thought you were
I almost
51.
stretch.
No, not
I
yet.
almost kick.
39?
49.
49?
Yeah.
Why did
Yeah.
I think you were at least 5 years or more younger than us?
Because of my beautiful skin and
Yeah,
my hair,
your-
my youthful
Skin and
disposition,
hair. Skin and hair.
my
Does
high
it.
kicks,
High kicks do it.
my extra sassy personality.
That does it
Oh,
too.
That's
Yeah,
that's getting a little tiresome.
One last thing, and we got to get on. Show.
Yes, yes.
Watch a movie from like the 30s or 40s or even 50s, and look at how old that person is compared to how they look, how they are.
Yes.
Remember the Archie Bunker show?
Yes.
Yeah.
He supposedly was in his 40s.
Oof.
When-
no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to high school. Look at
Holy
your
cow.
look at your
I
high
gotta look
school
and
yearbook
confirm that.
at 18-year-olds, and then look at 18-year-olds now. Right? Like 18-year-old boys look like little teeny babies, and I remember being a senior and be like, "Those are like men." It's just
Right.
weird. Like,
Yeah,
just-
no, I know. And my daughter, she's a freshman now. I'm like, oh my God. I thought I was so old
I
and
know.
mature as a
Mm-mm.
freshman.
Mm-mm. No,
Have
were
you
not.
guys thought you were old and mature when you were younger, when you're really not?
Yes.
I didn't start realizing I didn't know shit till I was 25.
Yeah.
I still don't know it.
I know. Yes. correct.
Crazy.
I still feel like that.
All right,
Okay.
Liz, what do you got?
Gentlemen, so I wanted to start with some stats just
Oh.
to give you some perspective. So, I've met with, yes. I've met-
Yeah, right. That's cute. That's cute.
I've met with different podcast advisors and podcast gurus, and so I know that our numbers we're up there in terms of how popular we are. There's I heard this a couple weeks ago. It's something like there are 2% of the podcasts are like 80% of the popularity. So you think like
Okay.
Smartless
Yeah.
and some other big Joe Rogan, those guys, like they are everybody. And so
Shout out to Joe. Give me a shout. I haven't talked to you in a while.
so for ours, we're a small but mighty podcast, and we're in a pretty niche area, and we are in the top 10% of all accounting podcasts.
Oh,
And, yeah,
wow.
so that's something. He did a quick search.
Accounting podcasts or all podcasts?
Accounting
Okay.
specifically, and all I think we're in like top 20%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I went into our thing and I did a little search. And so we have some all-time downloads are over 500,000 in general. We are in 200 countries. So
Wow.
we have had
Mm.
downloads in over 200 countries.
Mm.
This year alone, we've had downloads in 90 countries, right? So and for all time, and the countries are countries I've never even heard of before. And it's taking the bots out of it. So the way that Libsyn looks at things. So it's not robots, it's people.
That's
It's
cool.
actual people.
That is cool.
Right? So I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty great. So the top 10 countries are US, UK, Australia, Canada, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Mexico, New Zealand, Japan, and India are the top
Okay.
10.
Okay.
Rhode Island wasn't in there. It's basically a country.
Rhode Island.
Well, you know what it is. It's a testament to the success of the methodology in the book,
Mhm.
right? I mean, profit first is not accounting. It's not bookkeeping. It works in every country, in
Right.
any currency, in
Right.
any laws,
Right.
because
Yep.
it's
Cash
it's
management.
cash
Yeah.
management,
Yep.
treasury management.
And the top 4 are the ones where we also have profit first specific locations, UK, Australia, and Canada.
Yeah.
Right. So those folks, they have been
course.
spreading the word, and their audiences are listening to this podcast as well. So
Where are you guys listening in from? If you guys want to give us a
Yeah.
shout out, that would be pretty cool.
I'd love it. Yeah. Put it
Yeah.
in the comments. We'd love to hear that.
Wonder if anybody's listening from Boonton, New Jersey.
No.
Right.
Mike's mom is not listening.
Yeah, my mom.
I already polled the ladies in the office. I shamed them because none of them listened to our show. I shamed them.
Good.
But yes, and
I know.
I think we consume what we need to hear for entertainment or for
Yes.
education, and so our team wouldn't
No.
want this, you know.
No.
They're sick of me, Mike.
They're
they
like,
got to deal with me.
we
every
hear
day.
you
You're not
every
here
day,
yeah.
Ron. We don't need to hear. And me. I sit with them.
I
So
know.
they're like,
Well-
no, thanks, Liz. We're good. You're enough. So I did. Then I also did the top 10 downloads of all time. Who wants
Ooh.
to guess who someone on the top 10?
Guest wise,
Mm-hmm. Top downloaded.
Joe
episode.
Woodard.
You got it. Number 2.
Okay.
Joe's number 2.
I'm just trying to think of people that are super influential. Don Brolin.
No.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-mm.
I'm trying to think of people that influence.
I've seen the list.
Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
can't help
right.
myself.
All right.
Right.
Ed Mendelowitz.
Ed Mendelowitz.
Was he
Yes.
number one?
Number 1.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he has 3,200 downloads.
Here's what's so embarrassing. I don't even remember what the conversation was about.
It was
Hiring.
It was hiring.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
hiring.
hiring in the accounting practice. So it was the staffing shortage in the accounting universe. It was
Oh,
good.
Remember, he hired Mary when Mary was
good
in
episode.
college. Mary worked for him for 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, crazy.
What else?
Number 9 is Seth Feinberg,
Ooh, Seth.
but not the recent episode that he did. His 2022 episode,
Okay.
which I thought was
Okay.
interesting. Let's see, Paul Makowitz. Do you remember him? He was a marketing guy. That one he surprised me. He was in the military. His was Zero Moment of Truth marketing. It was good. It was a really good episode. That was also 22.
What about I? You know what? What about a member? I think we have a few members that had like for one reason. I recall Jamel Smith.
Yep.
Right? Is he should be on there? I didn't see the whole list, but
Yeah,
is
he
on
wasn't
there?
on there on that one, but he's definitely up there. So
He is,
there
right?
there are yeah. So that's
you
just
have
fun.
the
Precious
number-
Williams was up
Oh,
there.
Precious.
I'm not surprised. He was
Mhm.
excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have the number of downloads? I'm opening and exposing our numbers here, but do you have the number of downloads? I don't know.
Yeah, 531,000.
Last time I
500
looked,
hold on, wait.
It was 700 and something
Wait,
last time I looked.
531,000 downloads in its entirety since the show's been out.
Uh-huh.
That's wrong.
So that's 1,000 downloads per episode. That's pretty freaking
Uh-huh.
good.
Yeah, so there is another number. So that's the one that has the bots included. That one's 900,000.
Yeah.
But it's not real. It's so
Well, that's
that's why I
auto
didn't do
download.
that
Okay,
one.
okay, because I did see it. Like I'm like
know.
a couple, like last year it was like
Yeah.
700,000.
Yep.
So it's a million with bots.
You got it.
Nice.
And I think so people get distracted by that illusion.
Yeah.
Oh, these shows have 10 million downloads, and the reality is most of them don't.
They don't.
So that's the number you got to hear. That's actual listeners.
Right. It's like real revenue and top line
Subscribers.
revenue.
Yeah.
Right?
These are
The-
people that are subscribing and
Correct.
downloading.
Yes.
Or
You're right.
one-off
just downloading.
downloads, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
I also then wanted to move into the reviews and comments.
Okay.
That
The most
is
negative.
so fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wrote a couple. We won't go through all of them. They're
Yeah.
so funny. So here are the worst. Here are the worst
Gaming
ones.
is the worst. Most critical.
The hosts are off-putting with their overgrown fat boy shtick. Debbie G.
Frat boy or fat boy?
Frat.
Frat.
Fraternity brother. Bro.
Bro. What's up, bro?
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good. They're,
That's fair.
they're,
That's
they're
fair.
right.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one was hard to listen to, was the title. The sound quality isn't great, and they spend 3 to 4 minutes selling their stuff and/or having these personal conversations. By Yellow Nicolay.
Yeah, he's right. Again.
That's right. And I've been thinking about that too. Is that not necessary? Because I skip through on other shows
Mhm.
in many cases. So maybe we skip it.
Yeah,
Skip what?
talking.
The banter in the beginning, that's fun for us, but for the consumer.
I have to say, so I'll use Smartless as the example. That's my favorite part of the
Yeah,
show.
people tell
I
me
like
love it.
them busting chops before they get into the pandering
Smartless does it
and the
well.
butt kissing of the interview, which is all that is. I'm
That's
like,
true.
I'm done.
So much about kissing.
I know.
Yeah, you're right. And some of our members, they like it. Like Tim Thompson. Hey, Timmy.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. For a show where I'm looking just for the extract the idea, I
Right.
skip the banter. For
Yeah.
when I'm looking to be entertained, like Smartless, you're
Yeah.
right. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I listen to it.
Well, but so then
I like it when they're making fun of each other. Like we make fun of each other.
That's
Correct.
what she's saying.
Yeah. So, but then on the other side, we had plenty of
Plenty o.
of comments that were like, we love hearing.
So what's
from
the
the
goods
three
and
of you.
plenties?
So, a wealth of great business knowledge.
True.
I've been listening to this podcast for about a year. I highly recommend it. Even though I'm not an accountant, this has been a great education for me as a business owner. Mike, Ron, and Liz are very knowledgeable and also very entertaining. This is a fun podcast to listen to.
Oh, so sweet.
know.
Who was that?
Liz's mother.
A suit. If
Mrs.
my mom
Szporn.
could figure out how to get a podcast, I would put
Okay.
her thing in there. No, this was someone from last year. It's their names are like, I don't know, not real. This Mike and Ron are so much fun. They make learning interesting and practical with how-to tips. Put this at the top of your must-listen list.
Oh, nice.
I'm a new firm owner and have found something useful out of every episode. Ideas you'll not likely hear as much about in accounting, journals, or podcasts. More on the entrepreneurial, practical side of things, which I found incredibly helpful. I'm not executing on all of these ideas. ... That's the struggle. Crossroads
right.
CPA.
Well, give us a call, Crossroads, and we'll help you through this stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there were plenty more like that. They, the tips and digestible and fun and entertaining and beyond accounting scope. So I believe that is the true spirit of.
I'm surprised
what
there
we do.
wasn't more negative.
Yeah, there were very few negatives.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
I mean, we need more comments in general. So y'all
Right.
tell us what you want, please. All right. So I'm going to go into the questions. All
Okay.
right.
Yep.
So reflecting on the journey is sort of this segment. Okay. How does it feel to reach 500 episodes? Did you ever imagine that you would be here?
My first thought is I'm shocked because when I was running the math, I'm like, no way have we been doing this for 10 years? This feels like we've only been doing it for maybe 4 years. But now as I look at the age of our equipment,
Yeah.
we have an old setup for our studio.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
the
surprising and shocking.
the egg crate sounding is falling off the wall. It's deteriorating.
Ron came in here one weekend.
Yeah.
So I started creating one of the walls to deaden the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we need to do the whole thing. He's like, I got it. I'm like, okay, it's a big job. I came the next day. Sure enough, he went down corners, sections. It's the best soundproof room I've ever been in. This place is noisy, and you can hear, we have a municipal lot out there, the backing beeping and so forth. When you hear the audio, you can't even get that.
Yeah.
And that's through Windows. Pretty darn good job.
I mean,
Ron.
you feel it when you walk in here. It
You do.
feels
It's
different.
dense.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well done.
It's all falling down. It's all like rubbing, Yeah.
So,
but yeah, it deteriorates the material. Yeah,
Exactly.
so take me back to the beginning. What inspired you to do the podcast? As we said, you were sort of early adopters of this format.
I think Mike was the inspiration for it. I don't know where he got the inspiration, but I was like, yeah, go for it. I want nothing to do with it because it wasn't my thing. I was just all focused on, at that time, picking up the phone and teaching, selling, do this, do that. Mike was in more marketing, more this, more that, more creating. I was like, yeah, go for it, dude.
Yeah, we wanted to get Profit First out there. And didn't we name the show? Wasn't it not?
Profit First.
Yeah, it was called the Profit First Show or something.
Profit First Podcast.
The Profit First Podcast. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so what I saw was people were getting the word out on their books and the content through podcasts in a really unique way. So we started it. And then it was just me and this guy, Chris Kern, when we first started. And it was working. But we wanted to in-house it. And we wanted to give a sense for what's going on here and the insights and stuff that Ron had. And then I think Christina even joined us. We found a triad that the three of us is the best makeup. And we found having at least one female voice. So 2 females and 1 male, or 2 male and 1 female, seems to bring a different tonality to a show than when we had 3 guys. But you have to be able to jive and roll with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Stylistically, too, we had to make a choice of the show. We could just be rote education. It could be very factual. But we looked at our contemporaries and said, that's how everyone's doing their shows.
Yep.
And what's true to us. And yeah, there's a frat boy stuff going on, but it's all spirit. It's not mean-spirited.
Right.
We're not hazing.
No.
Right. It's all intended to be supportive. And why we do that is we want to make sure that people that join the Profit First professional community, this isn't just about the professional part. It's also about the caring part. It's the candor part. It's the authenticity. Because when it comes to profit, when you're serving a client and they're not profitable, if it's just the mechanics, you never get to the emotion behind the numbers. But if you can be authentically yourself and allow that person then, your customer, to be authentically themselves, you can talk about the real challenges around finances. And so this show just kind of sets the emotional spirit around that, I think.
It's almost like the Pat McAfee show. Hey, we are who we are.
Is that a sports one?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a sports one. And they're very bro-ish. They're very blah, blah, blah. They're going to be cussing. They're going to be doing they're the opposite of ESPN.
That guy's super high energy, right?
Yeah.
I've seen him on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that guy because I don't like him. Like, I don't resonate with his
Right.
style. But this guy, in my opinion, presents so genuinely him that there's been some moments I've watched him. I think he's the best broadcaster, just because he just leans into who he is fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. Here's another question. Have there been any moments when you realized the true impact of this podcast and what it was doing for others?
Probably road shows, like when we're traveling. Well, you go first.
Yeah. So I remember the funny sensation when the first time I heard, I feel like I know you. Because I listened to your show, or they'll call and say, "Is this really Obi-Ron?"
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, holy cow. I mean, that was years ago. I still get it today, but I was like, wow, okay, this is a little awkward. Right. It was a little different, but I don't think it really hit me the impact we make until we're at ProfitCon and everybody's sharing and telling us how much they've been listening and stuff like that.
A show like this takes you out of the conference room and puts you into the kitchen.
Yeah.
You get to know the real person. And for me, it's the same thing. It's the times I heard people say, "Oh, how's Obi-Ron doing?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you know a little bit of our culture. How's Ron's garden?" Like, you get to know the person.
Yep. For me, it's a recent one. You enrolled a new member, and she said, "Oh, I'm so excited to work with Liz. I hear her on the podcast all the time." You know, and you're like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like, that's exciting. Yeah, that's great."
Which member was that? Who was that?
Her name's Tammy.
Hey, Tammy.
Yeah, hey, Tammy. I just
That's
met with her
cool.
this week. Yeah, it was great. It felt good. How has creating this podcast changed you personally or professionally?
It's made me straighten up a little bit more. It's made me more conscious of what I'm saying, right? Because sometimes I could just be too candid. It's helped me with kind of winding in and being a little bit more professional, but also it's allowed me to use what I teach, which is pre-call planning, right? Pre-call planning. This is a meeting. So I've used the teachings of Profit First professionals to prepare for this. And I know it's going out there and I know so many people are listening. I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the guest is well taken care of. We have great questions that, they're not wasting their time. And so, it's forced me to actually get back to basics a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think for me, that I'm reading Pat Lencioni's book.
Pat Lencioni, yeah.
Lencioni?
Yeah.
Lencioni. It's the 6 Working Geniuses. It's a new book from him.
It's a new one, yeah.
And what he says is just because you can do something, it doesn't mean that's what you should be doing.
Nice.
And what gives you the most joy is where you're going to excel. So it's really being a spokesperson for the organization. Speaking gigs, I really do get value. But I was doing all the tech stuff here.
Yeah.
And doing tech stuff. So we became very dependent on me of doing this. And then we got, Ron and I had some conversations about it. We got Billy Ann doing some of the tech stuff and getting tech off my plate. And now you're doing it. And I'm capable of doing it. And we'll definitely step in if you're not available or we're struggling. But it allows me to work in a zone of genius.
It's better to be you. You can be
and
more
yourself.
Agreed,
It's true for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. And you get to not pay attention as much.
Well, that one, yeah. Oh, that may be coming through. That TV show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
It
All
better.
right, awesome.
It better because
It better. I mean, it's the whole show. There's a call going on literally right now with a major sponsor. I can't say who it is. It's not anyone you guys know who may be backing the entire show.
Congrats.
And, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's
Okay. What do you think sets this podcast apart from others in this genre?
It's not accounting. We're not talking about accounting. We're not talking about debits, credits. We're not talking about, the process of how you deliver accounting services. We're talking more about building your accounting or any business. It's more business related than nuts and bolts accounting.
I love that. I don't even think there's much to add. I just want to add a perspective I've noticed is, we've been doing this for 10 years. And 10 years ago, the reverberation in the community was you got to become an advisor. You need to be advisory. But there was no how-to.
Right.
I really want to put the stake in the ground that we were one of the first shows, perhaps still one of the only ones that's really how to be an advisor. It's very practical.
Yep.
When you listen to the Insider Access or GMAP or our guest interviews. And so I think some people got traction here on the show to know what to do to transform their business.
I also think that, over the past 10 years, that word advisor has been thrown out. Trusted advisor, strategic advisor. My whole thing along this journey is you've always been a trusted advisor. You've always had access to this. You've always been kind of strategic. But what we're trying to do is help them separate themselves from the competition by being the authority. Right? Being the authority on a particular topic, subject. And that's allowed accountants and bookkeepers to pick a niche specialization, pick a process, pick something like that. Whereas people want to work with the authority, right? Everybody's a strategic advisor, but who is the go-to? Who is the expert? Who's the cardiologist, the surgeon? And I think we've helped a lot of firms take that journey.
So as in Australia, I got back from ProfitCon down in Australia was remarkable.
Yep.
And they say niche instead of niche. So I'm like, you gotta say niche because riches in the niches works, but riches in the niches doesn't.
Riches in the niches.
So I said, I'll give you a temporary. It doesn't even rhyme well, but I'm like, you can go to the beaches in your niches or when you're dominating niches. But I'm like, there's nothing that really works.
No.
And so I'm trying to convert the dialect in Australia to be the American English dialect.
Nice. No. I met with them on Monday evening. I presented to a group of them, and they were still so excited by your visit, and we're so grateful. And they all were like, "Yeah, it was so fun to have him here. It was so amazing to be able to have that opportunity to be with him." And
you know what?
It's cool.
I mean, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
And I met Charlene down there. One of our team
she
members.
was still so excited. That was so fun.
Charlene's awesome.
And we were horsing around having some fun. And I got to observe Charlene working. She is driven. I mean, I was so impressed by her.
That's great.
What I found is it happened at ProfCon US. It happened in the other countries too. It happened in Australia is when we go through an emotional journey together. So the events weren't all rah. It was like some people went up. We did an exercise called I'm Still Standing. We did it in ProfCon US. We did it in ProfCon Australia. We did it in London. When people go up and share the battles they've been through and tears are shed, connection happens.
100%.
So these events, I saw this connection and then this elevation and then connection and then support, connection and celebration. It was really effective way of running an event.
That's great.
It's funny because I'm seeing a lot of more micro events and community events. And I'm wondering if, our ProfitCon members only and things, because we've always believed in community first and all that stuff. I'm seeing more and more and more and more small
as opposed to like the big, just anyone and their mother show up.
Yep.
That's great.
If you got feet, we got a seat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I don't like those.
No.
All right. So one last question. It sort of goes to what you were talking about in terms of audience. Have you noticed any shifts in the audience over the years? Who listens today compared to who listened from the beginning?
A shift in the audience?
Mm-hmm. And this could be, you think of the audience tends to be the folks that are drawn to us. And so I know from early days, it was the rebels.
Yeah, as I was about to say.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say it was the early adopters, right? So we are definitely experiencing the curve. The early adopters do something because, in part, no one else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the first person that a Tesla, these Cybertrucks are just becoming popular now. The first dude that has it is driving all around. Within a year, they're going to be ubiquitous and it's going to be ignorable. So the early adopter likes to get the notoriety because they adopted it. We're now in the early majority. Now, the early majority is a little bit more prove it to me. I want to see if this actually works.
Yes.
And so it's less of a rah-rah. We used to be able to say, the analogy we used was George Washington crossed the Delaware saying, we're fighting a superior army, but we got a superior mission. Who's in? And that's what we said. That superior mission doesn't work as well anymore. That attracted the early adopters. Now it's like, look, we have 1.2 million books in circulation. We have 800,000 plus businesses that have become profitable because of this system. Mm-hmm. Here's the proof, and here's what they're paying their members. And that's how you have to, they're much more critical of the prove it to me audience, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Next question is sort of future planning. So what's next? Do we have any new goals for the podcast after this?
Think we'll make it to 1,000, Ron?
I think so. I think
with the same equipment.
No,
oh, man.
No, because we're trying to work some camera. I think we're going to update technology.
Yeah,
we're trying to get some cameras in here.
Yep.
And I think we need to elevate what we're doing in terms of technology and releases and video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We need a tech refresh, as much as I hate
Agreed.
to say it.
I know. I agree.
My son is he has a full-time job now, and it's remote, but he may be moving out. And should that come through,
Is he going to become a Mormon out there?
he's become a Mormon. My thought is converting his bedroom into a podcast room at my house.
Right.
Because I've seen other people do that, and you can build a very comfortable space where you have couches and so forth. And this is, if you could see the studio, it's hacked together. It's a
Kitchen table with holes in it.
This is my kitchen table from college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of the quarter marks for quarter.
Exactly. There's quarter marks, and you know how much booze was spilled on this filthy thing.
Yep.
But we can create a relaxed environment, and that definitely changes the tonality of a show too.
Agreed.
Yeah, so
I think that's great.
I think we could do that here too.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that the refresh is this is going to be a different type of room.
To have and that's my plan for this. Is the video is using snippets in a better way. Is sort of changing. I mean, this looks crazy if you're like trying to look at each other just through all the
So difficult.
the arms.
If we want to do it right, we should consider. I have him do it at my house. Matt, the photographer, Matt Robinson, he'll do the lighting. He'll put the couches in. He'll
Right.
put the microphones. And the funny thing is, the equipment will be no bigger than that phone.
I know.
For everything.
I know.
That's what we have in my office. It's about this big. It's everything. It's better than this.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so that's great. So that's some fun
He
future
needs your
stuff.
commute for me too.
I think this is fully depreciated, by the way, stuff. So we got all the value.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. Mazel tov. Well done.
Yeah.
Are there any dream guests or topics you'd like to discuss in the future? Dream guests first.
Oh, I got to think about that. Yeah. You know what? My dream guest is that entrepreneur who was about to give up
Nice.
and said, I'm not doing it, and found a PFP that transformed their life. I just want to hear that. I want to hear more of those. We have those stories, but I want them to say, I want to voice this.
Right.
Because if they share it, it'll inspire others to do the same.
Agreed.
Those are the dream guests.
Yep. I made that plea last week on social media. I did a reel and I said, hey, it's our 500th episode is coming up. I would love to hear from you. Who wants to be on the show? And we've gotten a couple comments, and so I'll just keep. I'm gonna do it again.
I will guarantee it's going to happen now because shame on me. In Australia, I went to downtown Melbourne, did a Profit First presentation. This is outside of Profit First Professionals, and half a dozen people came up to me and said, in tears, some of them,
Yes.
men and women, saying, "I got to tell you what Profit First did for me."
Yes.
What I'm going to do now is to say, I got to get on the podcast immediately.
Please do.
Yeah. And I haven't been doing that. So I'll
Yeah,
get them.
please do. It's because those stories are my favorite episodes are our members sharing their stories. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember Tara Newman a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, we're going to go dark and you're going to tell us about the darkest day of your business. And it was like, we call it like the spooky episode. And it was so raw and real and then so filled with hope and light at the end.
Yes.
Like, those
Yeah.
stories, that's why I'm here every day.
Yeah.
I do that every day. Like our guests for next week, Debbie tonight. I'm so excited that she's coming on the show. She's been through it, man. Like, stories are real. Okay, good.
Interesting.
Do you have any dream guests, Ronald?
I do.
Tell me.
One,
Who? Santa Claus.
the band Survivor, to come on and give us
Oh,
permission
boy.
to play Eye of the Tiger.
They actually do a live performance here.
Oh my God.
That'd be great.
Oh my God.
Are
I
they
would be.
Wait, are they all
dun,
still
dun,
alive? I told you I
Dun,
found
dun,
one.
dun.
I found one of the guys on that
Hit him up.
no.
Oh, Cameo. On
Yeah,
Cameo.
Cameo.
Oh, Cameo.
Yeah, it made me sad.
yeah. That does.
I couldn't do it.
Maybe
Would
we
be
could
great.
get him as guest then.
All right. Okay. So let's
Just give me the
see.
permission for
If you
Survivor,
could
Eye
give
of the
one
Tiger.
piece. So this is the last question.
Yep.
This is the last question.
You said that 3 times already.
I didn't at all say it.
Roll the tape.
Jinx.
I think he's right.
Last question for the 4th time. If you could give a piece of advice to your past selves just starting the podcast, what would it be? Not to be yourself. You already said that.
Advice for the past. You know what? I would. I think there's a risk here. The podcast is where it is, say, because of everything that we did to get to this point. I think it'd be a shame to give other advice with the expectation there'll be a better outcome. This is a freaking good outcome.
All right. Well, then how about I switch it?
In my
This is the last question.
well, let Ron answer. That's just my.
It's
opinion.
legacy then. So what do you hope the legacy will be of this podcast?
I hope that a quantity of listeners have realized for themselves that they can be themselves, that their business doesn't have to follow this prescribed rule set that's been dictated by some course they took or what the perception is of what an accountant or bookkeeper or coach should be. But they said, this is an opportunity for a full expression of myself. I hope Profit First is a journey, but honestly, if it isn't part of who they should be, then skip it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope people express themselves authentically through their business.
Nice.
Yeah, I would like to be a mainstay. There's a couple of television shows that, are mainstays in my life. One of them actually is called PTI, Part of the Interruption. It's an ESPN show, Tony Kornheiser, Mike Michalowicz.
I call it the Talkie Talk Show.
I love that show.
Oh,
I've been
gosh.
watching that show for over 20 years. I
Wow.
was flipping through some old photos, and in the back, like when I lived in West Orange 100 years ago, there's pictures of that television show.
Really?
Yeah, and I've been watching it nonstop.
Is it the same hosts?
Yeah, same host, same everything. And, they've been doing it forever. It's one of the longest lasting shows on ESPN. And, I hope to have that and have loyal listeners like I am to those guys.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's good.
I
All
gotta check
right.
that show out.
All right. That show, it bothers me a lot, just so you know. It's always on in my house as well.
Which I'll tell you is usually a definition of a good show is that it's polarizing.
Correct.
If everyone,
They were very innovative, too, with the rundown and the
Sure.
clocks
Oh,
and all
yeah.
the timers.
but if
and
no
building.
one's critical of your show, that means you're not pushing the
Exactly
edge
right.
and the limit.
There's nothing. There's
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
man, talking about critical, I remember when I was telling people I was starting this, and people were telling me, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do
Yep.
it."
Yeah.
Don't do a podcast.
No, don't start your own business. And,
Oh,
and
oh, yeah,
also
of course.
don't do a podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Of
Like,
course.
why are you going to do a podcast? You're not a radio host. You
Nobody
didn't go to radio
listens to
school.
podcasts.
No, podcasts.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That was great.
This has been fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
Liz.
you. I think we're just going to end it here.
Yeah.
I think that's great, right?
Awesome, guys, listeners, thank you so much for our 500th episode. Don't forget to review, subscribe. Let us have your feedback. Let us know what guests you want. Let us know anything. Maybe you want to be a guest on here. When you bring it, don't forget to subscribe and review us.
Normally, I would talk about Profit First professionals here, but I want to flip the script. We just celebrated 500 episodes. We want you to celebrate your success, whatever that may be. So here's how you do it. Selfishly, go and rate and review our show in
Yeah.
the comments. Share what your achievement has been in your own business, your own life. So now it's forever documented on the interweb. And selfishly, you gave us a promotion.
I like it.
All right, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready. Thanks,
Awesome, guys.
gentlemen. All right, here's to 500 more.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.